at Madison Square Garden, getting ready for Game 4 of this first round. Tim Hardaway and Dan Marley in the backcourt for the Miami Heat. P.J. Brown, Alonzo Mourning, and Jamal Mashburn in the forecourt. For the New York Knicks, guard Allen Houston has had a fine series. Kurt Thomas, Patrick Ewing, and Larry Johnson up front. Now let's send it over to Craig Sager.
Well, Tim Hardaway with his bruised right knee is having a miserable series. But moments ago, as they broke the huddle, he promised his teammates, "I will not let you down." His frustrations boiled over after a verbal joust with Chris Childs in Game 3. Today, Hardaway was fined $5,000 for failing to leave the court in a timely manner and verbally abusing the official following the ejection. I asked Pat Riley if Hardaway tonight is physically capable of a 20-point 10-assist game. He said more. Brash optimism, or Riley has been listening to Dick Stockton and is expecting the unexpected. Dick?
Well, that's the X factor, Craig, no question about it, because I know the Knicks, UB, are expecting that Hardaway could explode in this game.
Yeah, I'm hoping for him because he's one of the really great players that we've had in this league. He does it at both ends of the floor. He's a clutch performer, and he gets it done for Riley, a real leader.
You can see that the Knicks have had a huge edge over the Miami Heat in games at Madison Square Garden in the history of these two teams going at each other. We're underway, and Mourning guarding Ewing, two number 33s, and Charlie Ward turns it over. That's something he hasn't done, UB. He has a very impressive 5-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio coming into this game.
Now, Charlie's solid. Chris Childs is also giving him, between the two of them, they're doing a good job. But what they would like is that they shoot a higher percentage.
And Hardaway trying to get it into Mourning, and Ewing picks it off.
Yeah, well, you never pass the ball to a post man unless he calls for it.
Kurt Thomas's shot no good, in the rebound into the hands of Dan Marley. No score opening minutes. The Knicks leading 2-1. Need one win in the next two to wrap up the series. Marley hitting a three to start it, and you pointed out how the three-point shot just hasn't been there for them.
Well, like we said, Hardaway, Porter, and Marley are 4 for 32. This is a good sign for Pat Riley and his team. They live with the threes.
And a whistle is Charlie Ward looking to get the ball inside, and a foul called against the Miami Heat. Marley, the first foul of the game.
The Knicks are using a lot of back screening, diagonal picks up at the foul line area, bringing people into the side where the ball is. So there's a lot of body contact. There's that one right there.
And Larry Johnson has the ball knocked away but recovers. Plenty of time on the shot clock for the Knicks. And then Patrick Ewing gets inside and is fouled. And Mourning came out. Ewing went backdoor on him, and he'll go to the line for two.
That was a clever catch by Patrick. And then stepping up on the other side of the rim, that's where the collision happened. Keep an eye on it. Watch Mourning. See, he's going for the block. And by Patrick coming on the other side of the rim, body contact.
So Alonzo Mourning, who got into foul trouble and spent a lot of time in the third quarter on the bench with 4 personal fouls, while the Knicks opened up a huge lead Wednesday.
Yeah, they took it from 13 to over 25 before Mourning was put back into the game. During that period, no player was to establish anything on the inside, and that's where they got the 32-2 deal.
3-1 the score here in the first minute and a half of the game, and Charlie Ward denying Hardaway on the steal, a 2-on-1 situation, and Allen Houston driving in. Good defense by Mourning there, but the Knicks get a new clock. 13 on the shot clock, and Patrick Ewing, who is the Knicks' leading scorer in Game 2 with 16 and gamely playing despite the sore Achilles tendon in his foot. Did not practice yesterday, but he has played in every game.
Each game, he gets a little bit more active, and he's definitely frisky when he catches the ball.
Here is P.J. Brown with the short-range jumper, which he has become accustomed to. So Brown gives the Heat a 5-3 lead.
Yeah, they need an unexpected big-time game from P.J. tonight because he's not in the major mix. But if he can just open himself up and make the perimeter J.
And Brown overplaying Larry Johnson on the pass, committing the personal foul. That is the second team foul on the Heat. And Ward will inbound. Knicks winning the opening game in Miami by 20. And then in Game 2 at the Miami Arena, the Heat won by 10 before the Knicks with a 24-point trouncing in Game 3. Allen Houston. And when he's gotten off to a good start, the Knicks have been successful.
Very quietly, he's averaging 17 points in a series. Shooting 50 and 94 on the line. He's got it cooking right now.
Yes, he does. And playing when Sprewell is in. Playing well together. Hardaway misses the three. So Tim Hardaway continues to struggle now. 1 of 15 from three-point range.
Now listen, Pat Riley's happy. They started the game 3, 1 for 17 and threes, missed them all, and then all of a sudden they finally hit. At least tonight they're 1 for 2.
Thanks to Dan Marley. 5-5 to score with 3 minutes elapsed. Here in the first quarter, P.J. Brown defending against Larry Johnson, who goes up, and it's deflected out of bounds by Brown. And the Knicks will have 3 seconds to attempt a shot.
Well, Larry Johnson has not been able to establish a low post game throughout this entire series. Well, see, right there.
Thomas and P.J. Brown.
Yeah, yes, indeed.
With the flailing of the arms.
That's right. Good call.
But cooler heads prevail, at least for the moment. 3 seconds, the Knicks have to attempt the shot.
Wide
Here is Ewing. And Charlie Ward tried to get it to Johnson, but the pass got away and is picked off by Dan Marley. Jamal Mashburn feeding Mourning, and he is fouled going up with the shot. Charlie Ward was in there, and Ward got a hold of him.
Almost a clean strip by Charlie Ward. One of the best that we have in the league in steals. You know, Charlie does it very quietly. Good floor presence, excellent leadership, nice passing, solid in steals. But what they're looking for is to raise that field goal percentage.
Alonzo Mourning, who is shooting only 65% from the line in this series, as the Heat, who have produced 2 of the 3 lowest scoring games of their season and their lowest shooting games of the year. So they have not put the ball in the basket at a bad time for them.
Well, you have 2 teams. They mirror one another. They both exhaust the shot clock. So they're going to reduce the amount of shots. In this series, Miami is only taking 69 shots a game. You're talking about a team, most teams are getting anywhere to 78 to 82.
That's a sharp contrast to what they're used to.
Absolutely.
Allen Houston misses the jumper, and Mourning, who just missed both free throws, and the Heat trying to regain the lead with 8:20 to go in the first. Here's Hardaway driving in, and he is fouled before the shot. So in an effort to get Hardaway going, if he can't go beyond the arc and hit threes, he'll post up or drive to the basket.
Well, you want that because he's an excellent finisher down inside, and then if he posts up, he has a mirror of moves down in there. And it will be interesting to see if the Knicks double team him tonight. Throughout the series, they have not.
Houston committing the foul. 5-5, nearly 4 minutes gone by in the first quarter. As Ward defends against Hardaway. Mashburn off the screen, and he too is struggling. Jamal Mashburn at 36%. Kurt Thomas lost his dribble. And Marley looks like he's going to play an intense defensive game as he did in game 2. There's a bounce pass from Johnson to Thomas. 9 on the shot clock, and Charlie Ward has hit his 3rd three-pointer of the series. And the Knicks leading for the first time in this game, 8-5. And Mourning going back. Brown open at top. And P.J. Brown misses, and once again, the Heat are settling for jump shots.
Yeah, and they're wide open jump shots. And once again, they can't make them.
Larry Johnson misses the 3, and Allen Houston, Knicks alert, getting second shots because of their scrappy play. Getting the loose ball. Down low, Thomas with the baseline jumper.
Oh, this guy has a good presence down inside because of his physical size. He's a very, very tough guy. And you've got to pay attention because he can score.
Knicks have run off 7 straight points to take a 5-point lead. And missing from 3 is Mashburn. And Allen Houston hitting the floor, loose ball, and a foul will be called against the Miami Heat. So this crowd anticipating a series clinching, excited at this point as Alonzo Mourning has just picked up his 2nd personal foul. The Knicks have doubled the Heat output with 6:54 remaining in the first quarter. They're on a 7-0 run. Alonzo Mourning has picked up 2 personal fouls, so this is not the ideal scenario that Pat Riley had envisioned. Mourning has led the Heat in scoring in all 3 games thus far.
Yeah, and it's a decision for Pat Riley. Do you leave him in or take him out? Now, he's taking him out. Now, that's what every coach would do. A lot of coaches in this league would leave the guy in, let him finish his regular rotation of 8, 9, or 10 minutes, saying that he is a prime-time player, and he's going to have to hit a guy with an axe in order to get number 3.
Good point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's just interesting. Right now, they cannot get down big in this game.
And he's playing it very conservatively and opening up that possibility as Clarence Weatherspoon has come into the game for the Miami Heat. Ewing scrapping for the loose ball with the P.J. Brown, and it's last touched by Brown. Weatherspoon has been a disappointment, as Hubie chronicled at the start, shooting only 31%, well below what he did during the regular season.
See, Dudley's been able to play him with the second units and kind of get up and keep him out of the post.
Larry Johnson misses his second from 2s, and you pointed out Johnson has not been able to post up as much, so he has gone outside for 3s.
That's why with this group out on the floor right now, it's either got to be Mashburn or Hardaway as well as Witherspoon. So it doesn't have to just be one guy and put the pressure on Witherspoon.
Witherspoon, one of the 2 big pickups for the Heat this year, along with Terry Porter, 2 veterans who performed during the regular season, but their production has dropped in the series.
See, what I don't like about the offense so far, they have not been able to get into the painted area with any kind of easy shot attempt. See, they've had a ton of jump shots. That's one of the few that they've made.
P.J. Brown cuts the Knicks lead to 3. It breaks the 7-0 run. Charlie Ward working inside Allen Houston, and Marley doing a terrific job on Allen Houston. Leaves it out for Thomas. 7 on the shot clock. P.J. Brown defending against Ewing now, and Ewing lost the ball. So Brown on Ewing did a good job. And now the Heat, Marley fires a 3 and hits. So Dan Marley has hit 2 from downtown after starting the game 2 for 12 for the series, and a foul as well, and a chance for a 4-point play.
Well, I'm happy for Marley because we know the energy that he's expending playing Houston and then also Sprewell. The guy's playing with 2 cracks up in that shoulder area, and we know that the pain is incredible. Now, for him even to launch a 3, he gets a sudden jolt. But this guy is one of the toughest guys ever to play in this league. And he's given it to Pat throughout the series on 2 tough guys to guard, Houston and Sprewell, because of the screens.
So Sprewell gets a rousing hand from the crowd. There is a love affair going on between Latrell Sprewell and the Madison Square Garden fans, something that was in doubt when he came over in the trade from Golden State. So Sprewell in along with Chris Childs as Charlie Ward goes out of the game, having picked up his 2nd personal foul on Marley. So the 4-point play by Dan Marley gives the Heat the lead by 1. Childs, who came up big and part of the big bench effort in game number 3. Ewing again defended by Brown. The double team for the moment by Mashburn. 7 on the shot clock. Ewing wants the ball, but he's too far away from the basket. Sprewell works his way in. Can't bank it in.
Big thing right now, put the pressure on the shots, force bad percentage spots to the Knicks, and push as much as you can to hope that you can get something in transition.
Here's Weatherspoon with a turnaround, and Kurt Thomas got a hand on that one, and finally the offensive foul call or the loose ball against the Miami Heat. We'll check it for you.
Now, Pat Riley's close to a T. I'm telling you, he's all over Washington, and it's been on a number of calls. See, what's happening is like what we said at the top. Energy and intensity is great. You never question Miami's game plan, their defense, their heart. But the game is basketball. You have to put the ball in the hole. Now, they've had a lot of open looks, and right there, they just had a flurry of 4 shots and came up empty.
And now a substitution that very few people expected to see this early in the game. Dwayne Coswell, who has played 13 minutes in 2 games, but can run the floor pretty well, as we saw in the last regular season game when the Heat lost to the Knicks, has come in for P.J. Brown. Brown picking up his 2nd personal foul. So Mourning and Brown each with 2 fouls. Ewing misses the free throw, and the Heat have the ball in a tie game.
Now, Coswell's in there to match up with Ewing, both against both, and then also hopefully that he can help him on the offensive glass.
And the pass inside, but a Knick foul is called. Holding was Chris Childs. The Heat are already over the limit with nearly 5 minutes remaining in the first, and the Knicks with 4 team fouls.
Well, we have a ton of baseline screens in this game to open up people on the low post.
Weatherspoon guarded by Thomas. And the turnaround, and Thomas again does a good job. Weatherspoon having trouble getting his shot off against Thomas in his face.
Right, and then with the second unit, if he's the center, he has difficulty with Dudley. If he's the power forward, he has difficulty shooting over the top of Canby.
So Mashburn with Hardaway, Weatherspoon, Marley, and Caldwell, the 9-year pro from Temple. And Hardaway hitting the three from the corner. Tim Hardaway, only his second three-point basket of the series. And Miami now 3 of 5 from beyond the arc, leading by 3 points. Sprewell finding room to shoot, and he scores. Sprewell, who was the high scorer in Game 3 with 20, and had 22 in Game 1 as well.
Well, he's only playing 27 minutes, Dick. He's leading the team in scoring, and he's shooting a solid percentage.
4 minutes remaining in the first quarter. The Miami leading by 1. And Hardaway hits another three, and you can see the confidence etched on Tim Hardaway's face. And Pat Riley, who saw his team down 10-5, now sees Hardaway hitting 2 straight from 3. And it's a 17-13 Miami lead. Allen Houston, and he is fouled by Marley, and Marley very upset with that call. He thought that he had deflected the ball away.
Well, the initial defense on Houston was just outstanding because he fought through a screen, then he eliminated the one-on-one move, forcing him into a jump shot.
Marley with his second foul. So P.J. Brown and Alonzo Mourning, along with Dan Marley, have picked up 2 fouls in this quarter. The Heat bring in Keith Askins, the defensive-minded forward, who is 6'7" and is very effective, although played 7 minutes, didn't score in Game 3. And Terry Porter, the veteran guard at age of 36, the old Warrior, has also checked in.
Right now, your main offensive guys out on the floor are Hardaway, Porter, and Witherspoon for Miami. The Knicks, once again, are playing in peaks and valleys. But right now, they have just got to watch when they come with that second unit. That's the time when they're all out there that they've been able to dictate tempo.
So Marley goes to the bench, having scored 7 to lead the Heat. Porter driving the basket, beating Weatherspoon, and the 2 veteran additions before the season started combine and give the Heat a 4-point lead again.
Now that's Terry Porter at his best. Put it down on the floor, break the defense down. If you defend me, I'll make the pass. If not, I finish with either hand.
What a find for the Heat this year to get Terry Porter. Here is Sprewell driving against Askins, and the rebound. Thomas puts it through. Kurt Thomas on the follow-up. So Thomas, Ewing, and Allen Houston all with 4 points for the Knicks, and a timeout call by the Heat.
Throughout the series, Canby and Thomas are giving the team 14 points and 10 rebounds. I'd say that's a load. Now, the Knicks, here's the basketball with Terry Porter. The Knicks get caught with 2 guys guarding the man in the corner. So as Terry goes down the middle, the man comes in and gives it up. Now watch as Witherspoon steps up. See, it's Witherspoon's job to create a passing lane, and he does it beautifully so that he gets himself in an area that he can make a score.
The Miami Heat shooting 35% in their loss in Game 1 and 34% in Game 3. Their 2 lowest shooting games of the year, now 7 of 15. So they've got to like the 47%. The Knicks at 40% on 6 of 15 shooting.
Well, when we go back to Game 3, Dick, they really played a solid, first quarter until they went second unit, and that's where things fell apart.
They were leading 37-33 before the roof caved in.
That's correct.
Here is Hardaway with a baseline shot, and Ewing getting the rebound, and Hardaway just trying to be a pest. Or a little more than that.
There's that famous Ewing scowl.
Known throughout the NBA. Knicks looking to tie the game with under 2.5 minutes to go. Ewing loses the ball. He had it and lost it. Turned it over to the Heat.
That's the 3rd time that he's dropped the ball tonight by being stripped.
No basket as Porter is fouled before the shot. It's amazing how this 36-year-old Terry Porter, who Pat Riley says has the best 36-year-old body in the league, is that quick getting off the jumpers after so many years.
Outstanding athlete, high IQ, as a player. Terrific defender, keeps himself in wonderful shape, and he can create. He's got the three-point game, he's got the short perimeter, the short medium game, and he finishes with either hand. And when you say that, people just take that for granted. How many guys do you know of in this league who go down the middle and can end with a lefty or righty hook?
Not many, and of course Porter, who's also a big play performer. There is Marcus Camby into the game. So the new look Knicks of running the floor with Sprewell and Camby will be on display now as Ewing goes out of the game having scored 4 points. No personal foul. So the Knicks now have Sprewell and Camby on the floor along with Kurt Thomas, Childs, and Larry Johnson also in on the game.
Now, Miami, you've got to pay attention now because this is their quick unit. They have size and quickness. Now, you have got to really defend and then punish them off the dribble.
So Miami with a quick unit, so do the Knicks have it too. And here is Larry Johnson defended by Weatherspoon with 7 on the clock. 5 seconds to go, and Johnson misses the lay-in. Loose ball. Larry Johnson tries to save it, but Porter with a great save behind his back into the hands of Hardaway now.
That was beautiful by Porter.
And Timmy Hardaway feeling it, misses after hitting 2 from beyond the arc. And the rebound by Weatherspoon, and the Knicks committing the foul, and that will be against Chris Childs. So the Knicks have a bunch of players with 2 fouls, and Allen Houston, Charlie Ward, and Chris Childs, 2 of their point guards.
This has been a series of very few second shot attempts. You go out and you look throughout all of the other series going on, teams get 15 to 20 offensive rebounds. In this series, Miami is only averaging 8 offensive rebounds, the Knicks 10, because both teams are taking care of business in the paint on their defensive board.
Now, Hubie, when we started the game, you were wondering if Pat Riley would go to Bashawn Leonard early. Leonard has been used as a mop-up man in games 1 and 3, and Leonard, who came on big with 13 points when the game was out of reach, but is the second leading scorer on the team, has come in. So Riley pulling out all the stops tonight.
Well, you know, he was a major contributor as a starter a year ago, had the injury early in the year this year while he was starting. Now he's back, but for whatever reason, he's getting backup minutes.
Sprewell with the turnaround, getting his second basket. Want to remind you that Sacramento and Utah, what a series that has been, with the Kings leading 2 games to 1 and playing at home tonight. Coming up next on TNT, and that ought to be a beauty. Here is Leonard behind his back to Coswell, who cannot finish for the Miami Heat, but it was a good move by Bashawn Leonard. And here is Chris Childs hitting a 3, an unlikely 3-point performer here, and the Knicks have come back to tie it up after trailing by 5.
You've got to get to Chris Childs. During the year, he shot 38%, was leading the league for at least a month. So in transition, get with him.
In the playoffs, he hadn't been shooting the 3, and right now, Bashawn Leonard comes back and hits the 3. Reason Leonard hasn't seen more action, his size against Allen Houston as a shooting guard.
Now, right now, in this series, how about he's 7 for 9 in threes? I would say that's pretty good shooting.
And that's why he's in here in the first quarter as we get under a half a minute remaining. Sprewell going to the basket is fouled by Keith Haskins. A lightning quick baseline spin by Latrell Sprewell.
See, Bashawn Leonard is going to be tested big time. Also, Porter, whoever picks him up, because he loves that spin move. Now, you saw what happened to Porter as he was leaning on him. He lost his balance on the move. He gave him a little head fake that he was going into the lane, quickly to the baseline.
Latrell Sprewell, good free throw shooter, connects on the first. Tim Hardaway will come back in the game replacing Keith Haskins. Hardaway has scored 6 on 2 threes, breaking out of that horrible slump that has plagued him earlier in the series.
Well, Pat Riley is not going to allow Timmy Hardaway to rust away on the bench. When you're up against it like they are tonight, they need him out there for as many minutes as he can put in. Hopefully 40 or more.
15 of Miami's 25 points have come as a result of the 3-point shot. That has been bread and butter for the Heat this year. Winding down to what should be the last shot of the first quarter. And a turnover as Porter and Hardaway miss connection.
Plenty of time here. Knicks should get a high percentage shot.
Miami had a chance to make that shot. Keith Askins rushes into the game for defensive purposes, replacing Tim Hardaway with 8.9 seconds to go in the quarter.
Well, it's surprising that they held the game up because the player is supposed to be at the scorer's table in order to get waved in.
Here is Sprewell, no basket. You know, he was at the concession stand, I think, when he took his warm-up jacket off.
You're right.
And came in the game.
Now be careful here. You can make a catch and get off at least 2 dribbles and get a good shot.
Offensive foul called on Latrell Sprewell. That was his first. 2.5 left. And Deshaun Leonard over Larry Johnson misses, and that'll do it. But the Miami Heat playing sprightly basketball, and they got Tim Hardaway underway with 2 3-point baskets. So after 1 quarter of Game 4 here at Madison Square Garden, the Heat lead the Knicks 25-24. Saturday, May 22nd, see a movie about a kid who takes over the Minnesota Twins. Watch Little Big League. That's Saturday, May 22nd at 8 on TNT. Well, the celebrities continue to adorn the front row at Madison Square Garden. Sean Puffy Combs on the phone right now during the timeout. And actors Alec Baldwin and Billy Crystal also with us tonight as the celebrities. And Billy Crystal, a very frequent visitor, as is Sean Puffy Combs, a great Knicks fan, to see the Knicks. And who wouldn't want to be here for Game 4 with a 2-1 lead over the Heat. But we start the second quarter with Terry Porter and Deshaun Leonard in the backcourt. Alonzo Mourning back in the game. Jamal Mashburn and Clarence Weatherspoon for Miami. Here is Leonard trying to get free. And Mourning, remember, he's playing with 2 personal fouls. Works in and is fouled. Marcus Camby tried to stay with him. And the foul is called against Camby.
What you like about what Mourning is doing in this series, he's averaging 24 points. He's only attempting 15 shots a game. Plus, he's getting to the foul line, and he's getting at least 9 foul shot attempts. So he's had the entire package.
But he's got to make those free throws, and he missed the first 2 in the first quarter, but connects here. And again, the goggles go off when he is on the line. He had that injured eye socket toward the end of the year and was forced to wear glasses. He was out for 7 minutes after picking up his second personal foul, and the Heat, Hubie, went from a 5-point deficit to a 1-point lead. So a contrast to the other.
Well, it's the old story. You're gambling that your ball club can get hot and that you do not fall down by a major minus. Now, the other night, it worked in reverse.
Heat leading by 3. Larry Johnson feeding in the corner. Allen Houston starting the second period. Loose ball, and the Heat take over. So Thomas with Camby, Sprewell, Larry Johnson, and Chris Childs. And no one picked up Porter as he drove to the basket.
See, he gives you that little hesitation at the top. Jeff Van Gundy's going with a 22nd now. Good call. See, he's upset with the defense. Terry Porter will always come up, level you off, and then as you relax, he blows right by you. And then he will always extend and go to the hole. Now just watch how he levels Sprewell off. Then you see right now, get the explosion and the big step. Now right as you look at the Knicks defense, very few guys could have cut him off and prevented him from getting to the hole. They were all slow in their rotation.
Yeah, Chris Childs especially gave it a thought, and he made a move, but he knew he couldn't get there.
See, when you're playing a 3-point shooter in the corner, Dick, like a Deshaun Leonard, you got to make a big decision. If I leave and go all the way in and stop him, they're going to kick out to Deshaun Leonard for the 3. Now it comes down to the defensive philosophy. Do you cut it off and give them the 3 and then say, hey, we'll live with the shot? What kind of a percentage can they shoot?
So the 22nd timeout called by Jeff Van Gundy as the Heat have matched their biggest lead of 5 points. Sprewell guarded by Porter, and he's got a size advantage on him, trying to take advantage, and it is blocked by Mourning. Alonzo Mourning with a block. He had 5 in game number 1, and he has 11 in the series.
Led the league with 4 a game, and he's averaging 3. He will always cover the back of the other 4 guys that he's playing with.
Remember, the Heat won game 2 because of their defensive play, and they're leading in this game for the same reason as Mourning on the turnaround now has 4 points, and the crowd getting a little antsy here with the Knicks down by 7.
Hey, see, that's why we said in the playoffs they're up their shooting percentage. They've upped it to 46%. They've upped their foul shooting 6%. to 79%. You say, well, why are you bringing this out? Because right now they reverted back to how they struggled all season long. They cannot make a hoop.
Sprewell again, and Miami looking to possibly double team on this Latrell, and Childs picked up by Leonard with 3 on the shot clock. Goes underneath. Leonard got a piece of it, and the shot is missed. And a new clock, and Kurt Thomas lays it in. So the Knicks got it off in time, and Thomas picking up the loose ball with another alert play.
Yeah, I like Thomas. He's a banger. He's feisty. He's not afraid of anyone physically in this league. And he's a garbage guy. He puts his nose in where all of the action is happening.
And he has been in the playoffs as a member of the Miami Heat before, and not happy that they traded him to Dallas for Jamal Mashburn, and then he had 3 knee operations, and now back with the Knicks and playing well as a starter. It's a 5-point Miami lead with 2.5 minutes gone by in the second quarter. Leonard defending against Sprewell, who tried to post up. 4 on the shot clock, and now they clear out for Sprewell, and the clock is going to expire. He could not get the shot off in time, and Miami's defense is stifling right now against the Knicks.
Yeah, they are not allowing them to beat them off the dribble, and that's the key with the Knicks. They are a slashing team. Now, get your look at Sprewell right now. You're going to see him at his best. This is where he attacks. Mourning will leave his man, come in, and get a piece of that shot clock. Told you, he's averaging 3 in the playoffs, 4 during the season. Now, this is the all-defensive team. Duncan for the 2nd time, Scottie Pippen for the 8th time, Karl Malone, and then you have Mourning, Kidd, and Payton. Pippen and Malone tied.
And there you're looking at P.J. Brown, who is on the all-second defensive team with Ratliff, Mutombo, Eddie Jones, and Mookie Blaylock, 2 members of the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, well, Mutombo and Blaylock will usually be on either the 1st or 2nd team every year.
Patrick Ewing back in the game for the New York Knicks. Porter trying to go down low to Weatherspoon, out of bounds, and it's last touch by New York. So Weatherspoon up front along with Mourning and Mashburn, and Terry Porter and Vashawn Leonard. So Tim Hardaway getting a good rest on the bench right now. 3 minutes have gone by now in the second quarter. The Heat leading by 5. Leonard hits again. Vashawn Leonard, and you pointed out last year, he started in all 81 games that he played last year as the shooting guard.
Well, Jeff Van Gundy made a big point. Last year in the playoffs, they were cruising, and Leonard came into the Garden and had 28, and he's hoping that that will not happen again.
And here is Sprewell, misses as he changed hands on the layup, and a 4-on-3. Now the Knicks get back totally, but the Heat leading by 7 points, and that is their biggest lead. Miami looking very good on the road here in the first half. In a game they have to win, it's desperation time for them. Mourning going strong, and tried to get it to Weatherspoon, and he was not ready, and as a result, the turnover.
And Mourning has the right to look at him and say, what are you doing? I mean, his defender came right to him. Weatherspoon was open. You got to step up and create the passing lane and get the dunk.
The Heat defense, though, forcing 7 turnovers and holding the Knicks to only 35% shooting in the game. So the defense getting it done thus far for Miami as Larry Johnson driving the baseline is pushed. And the personal foul is against Weatherspoon.
Right now, every time the ball goes to Larry Johnson, everything stops. Cutters cut through. He does not get in the ball. And that has been happening throughout this entire series. That is why the people are yelling from the top row in the group.
Here is Ewing as Mourning tried to overplay, and Marcus Camby misses a follow-up, and Ewing slowly getting back into action. And stoppage of play as Camby tips the ball out of bounds. So Ewing took a fall there.
Oh, he sure did. That was a nasty fall. And then give Camby a ton of credit. He just raced down and got a deflection there because they were going for the 3 on that fast break.
They had a 5-on-4, and you're right, they were going for the 3-pointer, and that has been the big part of their offense thus far. Here is Porter driving in against Childs, leaves it for Weatherspoon, and Weatherspoon misses. So Clarence Weatherspoon has had a couple of golden opportunities, but have come up empty. He's 1 for 5, and Larry Johnson nearly threw the ball away. The Knicks down by 7. Crowd
they're resting.
Apprehensive at this point. Childs, who has hit a three earlier, misses a three here, and the Heat cannot get the ball as Leonard and Porter both went after it and lost it. Boy, I tell you, they have good reason to talk to one another because of misconnection so far.
Total frustration for the Knicks. They thought this was going to be a celebration tonight.
Well, Miami has a 7-point lead, and I'm interrupting two of your average fans at Madison Square Garden. What do you guys think of the game tonight?
I don't like the way the Knicks are playing tonight. They look nervous. Look like they know they can win, and they're a little tight, but I think they'll pull it out.
I'm excited to be here. You're going to do a sequel with Bob?
We're talking about it. But the Knicks, you know, the thing about it is if they just shoot the ball a little quicker than when they get it, then I think they'll score a little quicker.
When are you going to shoot the sequel with Bob?
See, the thing is, if Hamby gets more playing time, I think the Knicks, they're more fluid and they run the ball better, don't you?
We'll get you this later, but Dick and Hubie have to talk now.
You know, I want to know if he's going to shoot the sequel or not. Never found out. Thank you, Craig. 5 minutes gone by, second quarter. 7-point lead for the Miami Heat. Double team on Patrick Ewing. Ward fakes the pass, hits the three. Charlie Ward back in the game after picking up 2 early fouls, and the Knicks down by 4.
Think about it. Charlie is on fire here tonight. Very quietly spotting up, knocking down threes.
There's Mourning working against Ewing.
You get a two-step there.
Gets the ball back. And on the baseline, a loose ball foul called against Clarence Weatherspoon. That'll be his second foul. Over the top. P.J. Brown will come back in the game for the Miami Heat along with Tim Hardaway. So Pat Riley going with Hardaway, who has hit 2 3-pointers to break out of that bad slump. And Mashburn. And Brown, who has scored 4 points. Hardaway was out for 7 minutes. So he's got to be well rested. Remember, he's got that knee problem that he doesn't talk about, that sore knee, and obviously has to be affecting him. Ward getting into Ewing, gets the ball back on the give and go. Houston to Sprewell. Sprewell with the fake. Hamby crashes the boards, but the Heat get it back. Rebound by Mourning.
See, the Knick cutters are open if they will just give them the basketball.
33-29, Miami leading in a game that they need to win to have their season go on and force a 5th and deciding game Sunday against the Knicks at the Miami Arena. Allen Houston now with his 3rd personal foul.
Now that's big. And we brought up the point because he has had an excellent series. He's shooting 17 points, but he's shooting 50%, and he's 94 on the line. He's been going to the basket. And that's what I like tonight about Hardaway. This is the best we have seen him in the 4 games getting into the paint. Usually he's been settling and then forcing up the threes.
That's not a surprise to the Knicks, who anticipated Hardaway to get going. Terry Porter, remember, he has been to the NBA Finals twice while a member of the Portland Trail Blazers, so he's been in pressure games before. 35-29, Miami leading, and they're getting good production from their bench, something the Knicks got in Game 3 that they're not getting tonight. 8 on the clock. P.J. Brown guarding Ewing, who goes up with it, and it goes for him. Spins in, and you know Ewing will be the man they go to with Brown defending.
Oh, absolutely. P.J. Brown is great on forwards, you know, big forward, small forward, but Ewing is just too powerful.
So it's back down to a 4-point game, and Larry Johnson, who came into the game for Kurt Thomas, defending against the smaller Hardaway. The Knicks trying to get a run going of their own. Called against Miami. What a great move by Charlie Ward as he spun around. And the personal is on Brown, picking up his 3rd.
Now just watch as he lulls the defense to sleep. Now he makes the explosion. The defender leaves Camby underneath, but he's inside of the restraining area, the restricted area. That is an automatic foul.
So Ward is on the free throw line, and the Knicks, who have not gotten that much production from their point guards this year, getting it tonight thus far, as Ward has hit 2 3-pointers, and Chris Childs has hit one from downtown.
Between the 2 players, they've been only giving them 7 points at the point. But in their defense, they have not shoot a high percentage. But then again, they're limited in how many shot attempts they get. Now, right now, they already have their allotment for a game, okay?
And we still have 4:56 to go in the first half. Brown goes out with 3 fouls, and Pat Riley has to come back with Weatherspoon sooner than he wanted to.
Well, this is what happened in Game 3. The front line got in foul trouble big time before the half.
Here is Mourning trying to split the defenses. Hardaway finding a good look and hitting. Tim Hardaway is a different player, and for the first time in this series, Hardaway is playing like the Tim Hardaway of the regular year. It is 37-32. Hardaway with 8 points. On the trap, Larry Johnson picked up by Mourning. Now Ewing with 5 on the clock. Double team by smaller players. Rush the shot and the rebound by Weatherspoon. Ewing trying to take advantage of the size advantage defensively.
Yeah, but you see, when you're trapped like that and it's a good trap, you cannot get it on the floor.
That time, Tim Hardaway fired up an air ball. And Ward settling for the 3. Can't get that shot. Here is Camby. And Camby with a high arcing shot. And, you know, his best offense are second shots and putbacks.
Yeah, and he runs the floor so well for these guys. And as a defender off of a power man, he's excellent in coming across and getting the shot blocks. He's had 8 shot blocks in 2 games this year. Now, this is nice because he's giving you a bonus. He's hitting that 18-foot jump shot.
The NBA playoffs on TNT, brought to you by American Express. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, American Express helps you do more. And by AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts.
Coming up on the AT&T halftime report, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, and Seattle's Gary Payton named to the NBA's first unit all-defensive team again. We'll update you on all the playoff action. How about that series? If Detroit wins, they go to a 5th game, and it's been a home court series between the Pistons and the Hawks. Alonzo Mourning, who was effective from the perimeter early on before he got into foul trouble in Game 3, giving the Knicks a chance now. Down by only 3. They were down by 7 a few moments ago. Larry Johnson, who has yet to hit a field goal tonight for the Knicks. 3 on the shot clock. Ward with a long 3, and that was a long one.
I'm so happy for him. I'm happy for Charlie Ward, and I'm really happy for Timmy Hardaway. And I wish that Marley would come in and also have a banner night.
And here's the ball knocked out of bounds, and Ward tried to save it. But I tell you, Charlie Ward is playing big tonight. The little point guard from Florida State, the former Heisman Trophy winner in the critical game, with the Knicks trying to wrap it up, has played large in this first half.
Well, you never question his defense. He's always out there. He's doing exactly what the club wants, and he's a great team player.
They're tied at 37, and now the crowd, quiet for a while, becomes alive again, exhorting the Knicks to tighten the defense.
Nice.
And Mourning puts a move around Ewing. He missed the shot, but Camby is going to be called for his 2nd personal foul. The Knicks committing their 4th team foul, but Mourning will go to the line.
Every time that Mourning takes a jump shot, the Knicks are happy. But when he made that nice fake, see, that was good. He had plenty of patience. Then as he makes the jump move and goes strong to the hole, you have Camby coming, but he was late. He was late getting there.
Well, here is Mourning with only 4 points after leading his teams with 27 in Game 1, 26 in the second, and 18 Wednesday. But he has 5 points, but the Heat have to like the way the game has gone as Kurt Thomas checks in for Camby.
Well, they're taking the crowd right out of the game. I mean, the crowd wanted to come in here. They were roaring before it started. After the national anthem, everybody thought it was going to be a big party. And now, great game plan, and they're getting excellent execution. Their perimeter game is terrific, and this guy's getting to the line. And, you know, I know he's missing him in the series. We're talking about a guy who's a solid 72% for his whole career.
But as we said, he'll be expect the unexpected when these teams play the series.
You couldn't have said it any better, and that's so true when these 2 teams play.
Latrell Sprewell back in the game. Sprewell tonight has scored 6 points on 2 for 7 shooting. Larry Johnson with his first field goal of the game and leading the Knicks in 3-point range. So if he can't post up, he'll hit the bomb, and the Knicks regain the lead by a couple.
That's why the race to
from the perimeter. And the Knicks, who have on a 14-4 run right now with under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Crowd is back in the game, and the Knicks trying to finish the first half with a flourish. Sprewell, Johnson again from three. And the crowd would have raised the roof off the Garden if he had connected there. So the Heat trying to withstand this New York run, and a Knick foul inside as Mourning inside against Ewing and Thomas, and the personal goes against Thomas.
Yeah, no, you cannot double team a post-up player unless he has the basketball. Now they just sandwich Mourning down in here, and they have, you're going to see right there, as the ball is going into the corner, they have him sandwiched high and low, and they bang him off the spot.
Terry Porter in the lane. Porter playing a terrific first half, has 7 points off the bench, 6 coming here in the second quarter.
If you follow him off of screen, he hurts you every time because he gets in the paint and he can hit that medium jumper.
Tied at 40 with a minute 13 to go and 9 on the shot clock for the Knicks. Patrick Ewing with a bump fake hits from the baseline. Ewing now has 8 points. Ward leading the Knicks with 10, and New York up by 2 again.
See, for a guy with a serious injury that Patrick is playing with the Achilles, he has 13 points and 13 rebounds a game. People are saying, well, he's not up to par. What do you mean he's not up to par? He's doing a great job, and he's shooting a good percentage for you.
Here's Weatherspoon, and he misses, and Johnson the rebound. And don't think it's easy for Ewing to go up with that shot with the injury.
That's right.
Johnson for 3. So after hitting a 3-point basket, Larry Johnson misses 2, but there's Kurt Thomas giving the Knicks another opportunity. Under a half a minute.
Thomas is a hard.
Yeah. I know you're impressed with the former TCU star, and Tim Hardaway pushing Charlie Ward, and the Heat over the limit will send Ward. That's the first foul in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So the next foul will send the Knicks to the line.
Now, Kurt Thomas at TCU led the nation in scoring 29 and in rebounding 20 in his senior season. This guy's a stud.
You don't find many players who played with the Horned Frogs. Here is Johnson for 3. And the rebound by Mourning, and the layup by Larry Johnson counts at the buzzer. It goes. Larry Johnson getting the layup after missing the 3, and the crowd on its feet as the Knicks will take a 4-point lead into intermission.
Now, you gotta love it if you're a Knicks fan. You weathered the storm, you came back, you're saying, hey, Miami cannot play any better than what they're playing. Now, Larry Johnson is 1 for 4 in the last 3 minutes, but he has the initiative to get in there, follow up, take the contact, and end this half with a basket.
The Knicks outscoring the Heat by 9 points down the stretch of this first half and take a 44-40 lead at halftime. All right, Bob, thank you very much. Should be exciting out there. Meanwhile, here in New York, it's nighttime, and the New York Knicks, who trailed most of the first half, taking a lead over the Miami Heat. And they hope that the New York can celebrate tonight. If the Knicks win, they capture the series, become only the second team in 16 years as a number 8 seed to beat a number 1. They lead at halftime 44-40. Let's take a look at the halftime statistics right now. And the Heat shooting 50% from threes. In fact, teams are shooting better from threes than they are from 2-point range. And the Knicks with 11 offensive rebounds and 13 second chance points. Now, remember, the Knicks were trailing 37-33 in Game 3 before they put on that amazing run. They were down 37-32 tonight when they went on a 12-3 spurt, so it could be a carbon copy. What do you think of the game?
Well, I like what they're doing. They have a +10 in rebounding. Charlie Ward is 3 for 3 in threes. Now, what's keeping Miami in the game, Alonzo Mourning only has 5 points, but more important, only 3 shots. Hardaway and Marley are 4 for 8 in threes, and then off the bench, Porter and Leonard 5 for 5 in shots. So the perimeter guys are there. They need help up front.
And Tim Hardaway is definitely back to the tune of 8 points and 2 from 3-point range. Right now, let's check in with Craig Sager.
Well, Jeff Van Gundy, I talked to him moments ago. He said his biggest concerns, the 3-point line here in the second half. He wants to make sure his defenders are guarding the perimeter, and he also told him once again how well Tim Hardaway was playing and not let him take over the game. As for the Miami Heat, Obviously, Coach Riley is not at all happy with the second chances and the offensive rebounds. He says every time there's a loose ball or a scramble, it seems the Knicks are quicker and they're coming up with a ball. That is my biggest concern in the second half. Nick?
Very good, Craig. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. The scoring leaders for the Heat, Hardaway with 8, Porter and Marley with 7. And Deshaun Leonard getting a chance to play some real minutes. 7 minutes, has 5 points, and Morning, as Hubie mentioned, only 5. For the New York Knicks, Charlie Ward, who has hit 3 for 3 from beyond the arc, has 10 points. Patrick Ewing has 8. Sprewell, 2 for 7 shooting, has 6. So a very important second half beginning now, as Pat Riley's teams always have come back when they've needed to. Jeff Van Gundy will try to put it away.
The major point that Riley made, and you have to underline it, the Knicks throughout the series are only averaging 10 offensive rebounds a game. We said both teams are taking care of their defensive board. Well, tonight, Miami is giving up 11 already, and that's why it's a major concern. The Knicks are staying in there, and they're getting good second shot attempts, and that has helped them in gaining this lead.
The Detroit Pistons defeating the Atlanta Hawks 103-62. If the Knicks were to win and capture the series, they would have 3 days off before they would have to play the winner of that other series, which would be a boon to them.
Now, boom, because of naturally the injury to Ewing, and also anyone else who has little nitpicking. Now, this Atlanta-Detroit series, Dick, is amazing because the 2 games in Atlanta just absolutely waxed Detroit. Detroit turns around back up there in Michigan and really hammered it. But Atlanta without their 3 forwards, and, you know, Ellis and also Henderson, and now Crawford out with a bad shoulder.
P.J. Brown, first shot goes over the top. Indiana already advancing to the second round with a 3-game sweep over Milwaukee and the Philadelphia 76ers. Tomorrow we'll try to eliminate the Orlando Magic in what has been one of the surprises. It's been a topsy-turvy kind of a playoff series. Pat Riley says, you know, there's a different freshness to this. The new kid on the block has hunger, enthusiasm, and a chance to perform on a platform he's never been before.
Yeah, well, Philadelphia is turning Orlando over 23 times a game. They've got to clean that up or they'll blow them out of the building tomorrow.
Allen Houston trying to get untracked offensively against Marley. No easy task as Charlie Ward misses a 3. So the Heat have the ball, trailing by 4 early in the third.
This is the guy they got to get going. They got to look inside. He must attack the basket.
Morning, and good ball movement that time by the Heat. P.J. Brown, and now 3 seconds to go. The Heat will have to ad-lib, and Morning off balance misses the shot. Allen Houston the rebound.
When Morning passes out, Dick, I wish that he would repost and they get the ball right back inside.
Blocking foul called against Dan Marley, and early on Marley picks up his 3rd.
They can live with that. Marley just guessed that time. Now, if you take Marley out of the game, Porter is a good defender and can score some points for you. But down the wire, Riley loves to have Hardaway, Porter, and Marley on the floor.
And the Knicks want to have Allen Houston start to go to work offensively. He has only 4 points on 1 for 3 shooting. Larry Johnson denied by P.J. Brown. Now Johnson gets it away from the hoop. They clear out for Larry Johnson against P.J. Brown, who has 3 personal fouls. Ewing is going to try a jumper over Morning and hit. Very stylish jumper by Patrick Ewing, who is the second Knick to get a double figures with 10.
He did that by the numbers. He took his time.
And the Morning on the deflection, Ewing challenging him, and the Knicks, who have their biggest lead of the game, trying to add to it. Larry Johnson for 3. And all of a sudden, the Knicks on a big run here. It's 49-40 on a 17-3 run. And eerily, I'd have to say that this looks awfully like Game 3 at this point.
Hey, Larry Johnson was 2 for 10 in the first half, 1 for 6 in threes, and has the audacity to just say, hey, plenty of time on the clock, I'm launching another one.
So he has 8 for the series to lead both teams. And the New York Knicks, and it was just like this on Wednesday Remember, it was a 32-2 run when it was all said and done, but the Knicks, between the end of the second quarter and the beginning of the third here, have a 17-3 edge on the Heat, and this may be the critical time coming up right now for Miami's chances.
The New York defense on post play has been excellent tonight. They keep pushing Mourning off of his spot. Then anytime that he gets the basketball, they're waiting for him to put it down, and they're rotating and doing a great job. And the main guy has been Thomas, because Ewing, once they get by Ewing, they cannot shoot up over the top of Thomas. Nice job.
Brown misses and Thomas the rebound. So unheralded, Kurt Thomas very quietly, but catching the attention of my partner here, getting the job done in the big way. Charlie Ward loses the ball, and a kick foul is called. And the personal is on Ward. That's 3 on Charlie Ward. So for the Knicks, Ward and Houston have 3. For the Miami Heat, Marley and P.J. Brown have 3 personal fouls, and Ward is cut. His eye is cut, and he's going to have to go out of the game, as they tend to cut in. Chris Childs immediately goes over to the scorer's table.
We'd like to show you the area. They see Charlie going head first, and well, you can see it there. It might have either been with the knee or the hand.
That knee looked like it was really pressing down on that eye.
Either one could have made that slice.
Ward is going to go in for repairs in the locker room. So Childs is in, and his defensive assignment is Tim Hardaway. The Knicks like Childs as a defensive player over Hardaway. Head of the board, and now on the switch, Larry Johnson pulling back the step back by Tim Hardaway, and there is Kurt Thomas with another defensive rebound.
Well, Larry Johnson won that one because he leveled him off and forced the jump shot.
Allen Houston, only his second basket of the game, and the Knicks lead by 11, and Pat Riley calls yet another timeout, and that's good strategy.
Yeah, right, because Riley is famous for not letting you get a big run. Now you're going to turn around and say, well, what about 32-2? All right. Yeah. But what he will do is he will exhaust his timeouts during that period of time and then hopefully regroup his club.
Ernie Johnson in Atlanta. There will be a Game 5 in the Hawks-Detroit Pistons series as the Pistons win 103-82. Depending on what happens in that Game 5 in Atlanta, this could have been the last appearance of Joe Dumars before the home folks in Detroit. He responded with 20 points, and Detroit forces Game 5 103-82. Let's get back to the Garden. Dick Stockton, QB Brown, guys.
Thank you, Ernie. Appreciate it. And here is Alonzo Mourning getting the basket, and the second quick timeout called by Pat Riley. A 19-5 run by the Knicks, and Riley doesn't want to let the game get away from him like it did on Wednesday.
When they throw into Ewing, they're just allowing Ewing to be defense one-on-one. No cutters are going through. And if you're not going to have any movement, then the defense can attack Mourning anytime that he makes a move.
P.J. Brown,
nice,
who really has become effective this year, hitting that medium-range jumper. And the Knicks lead is down 51-44, so that timeout has resulted in Miami coming back.
Well, you always love to come out of a timeout and see your team execute what you're talking about. That they're listening and that you got them the strategy that will give them the high percentage shot.
Thomas on the baseline, and so Kurt Thomas, who has been so able on the boards, missing with the last 2 offensive shots. And Mourning from P.J. Brown draws the foul, and Mourning will go to the line, and the Heat with a chance to cut the lead to 5. So they have responded after that timeout by Pat Riley, and Allen Houston now with his 4th personal foul. He'll have to come out of the game, and Latrell Sprewell will replace him. A 20-second timeout called by Jeff Van Gundy.
You know, that's a decision a player's got to make. You know, and you would like to have seen him just say, listen, I've got 3. I'll give him the layup. Now, if the team rule is that you're going to get fined if you do not, you know, foul a guy in that type of a situation, then you can understand why he fouled the guy. That put him with 4, and he's out. Now you say, hey, wait a second. He's one of your primetime shooters. You know, you're hoping that he understood that that was going to give him a quick exit here.
And let's see if Houston does come out. He hasn't put on the warm-up jacket yet. Let's check in now with Craig Sager.
Well, Charlie Ward has just left the trainer's room. The eye that he cut was when he hit his eye on the floor. Now, they literally glued the cut shut. He may need stitches later, but as of tonight, it is closed because they used some glue. Dick?
You always need a good cut man whenever the Heat and the Knicks get together.
Yeah, you could see the knee of Dan Marley pushing Charlie's head down into the floor.
So Ward is back on the bench, and Allen Houston does go to the bench. And Mourning on the line. So Latrell Sprewell back in the game for the Knicks. He has scored 6 points on 2 for 7 shooting. Not the spectacular forays we saw in the earlier game at Madison Square Garden, but there's still plenty of time left. As Mourning now, 4 of 7 from the line. Only 8 points compared to his team-leading playoff average.
We still have plenty of time. You know he's going to be the main focus of the offense. But what I'd like to see is a little bit more movement to keep the other 4 Knicks defenders honest so that they cannot attack him in that lane once he beats his man.
51-45, Sprewell trapped on the outside and loses the ball. Good defense by the Heat, and they get it back. So Miami's defense keeping them in the game, trailing by 6 points.
That was Mourning on that strip.
And Marley throwing the ball, nearly throwing it away, and then Mashburn hitting a 2-point basket. So the Miami Heat coming back strong with 7 points in the last minute and a half, and they're down by only 4.
During the course of the year, they played 4 times. The record was 2-2. In 3 of the games, they were decided by a total of 7 points.
And one game was 13, and that was the last game of the regular season when many of the big players did not play. But you're right. Miami won by 4, and by 1, the Knicks by 2. And that's why this series has been an aberration as far as the margin of victory.
Good point.
51-47, and the Heat again with a chance to narrow it. And P.J. Brown on the offensive rebound on the miss by Mourning. Out of bounds, and his last touch by the Heat.
And that was an easy putback. P.J. Brown is pleading his case to Joey Crawford. He thought that he got fouled on that jump hook.
And the Knicks trying to stop a Heat surge here. And Marley now guarding Sprewell. Askins took that assignment largely in game number 3. Here is Ewing guarded by Alonzo Mourning, the double team. Miami rotating very well defensively, and Larry Johnson foils it all by hitting his 3rd three-pointer as time runs down on the clock. And boy, that's like a dagger at times for this team.
He launched that with about 1 second on the clock.
Marley picked up by Sprewell. Hardaway, he misses the 3, and it's last touched, I believe, by P.J. Brown. And the Knicks will get it back. So after the Heat came within 4, the 3-point basket giving the Knicks a 7-point lead and the ball now.
When the Knicks stay with all of their movement, see right now, Jeff Van Gundy is telling, come on, get up there with movement. Because every time they run their screens, move the ball, swing the ball to the other side, something good has been happening.
Sprewell and senses the trap. And here is Larry Johnson on the fake and the foul. P.J. Brown will pick up his 4th personal foul on that play.
When you're working on one side of the floor and you're running screens, you pass the ball, you can count on the Heat trapping screen and rolls and trapping the post. So now when you come out of it and swing the ball to the other side of the floor, you have the defense running at the offensive players, and you can break them down easily. When the Knicks do that, they look nice, and they're getting good execution.
Brown stays in the game after picking up his 4th personal foul, and Larry Johnson misses the first free throw. Playoff action continues Saturday on NBC, starting with Showtime at noon, followed by Orlando and Philadelphia, San Antonio and Minnesota, and the Los Angeles Lakers at Houston. That's NBC playoff action Saturday. Terry Porter back into the game for the Miami Heat. So Porter and Hardaway at guard with Marley, Mourning, and Mashburn. P.J. Brown does go to the sideline, but Larry Johnson missed both free throws. Terry Porter now the point guard, although Tim Hardaway as the off guard, being shadowed by Chris Childs. Screen set by Mourning. 6 on the shot clock. Mourning, good look over Ewing, and Alonzo Mourning now with it 10.
There's no way that Ewing can play him because he'll always give him the distance and say, I'll give you the jump shot, but I'm going to try not to let you drive. And when that matchup is there, Mourning should always get a good shot at that.
The Knicks lead is 5.
Here's your trap. Patrick's late on the reverse.
And Childs penetrating, goes up and draws the foul, and that's the way to break that. Chris Childs will go to the line as Jamal Mashburn fouls in.
Every time that Sprewell is coming to the right side of the floor, Miami is trapping him. So when he reverses the ball back to the middle, you have to get it over to the other side. Allow that to happen. When that defender's running at you and you're a three-point shooter, you give him the ball fake and you're right inside.
Childs, who was 4 for 5 from the free throw line in game 3, and misses the free throw here. And Patrick Ewing away from the ball.
Oh,
with a shot on Terry Porter, a forearm to the neck. Looked like Porter understood.
Well,
playoff basketball.
Yeah, well, you know, it's playoff basketball. In the old days, when we only had 2 guys refereeing, that happened on every play. You know? And now you're saying there's a 3rd guy. That's not supposed to happen. I mean, it can happen, but it's supposed to be called.
Yes, so. Childs with 1 free throw. The Knicks by 6. Knicks trying to win the series in 4 games, and Ewing comes out and fouls Tim Hardaway. That is his first personal foul. Very critical second half. The Miami Heat, who have been knocked out of the playoffs 2 of the 3 previous years in the first round of Pat Riley's helm, trying to avoid that same fate. Under 5 minutes remaining.
Good hand. Good hand from John.
Tell you, he's a pesky defender.
Oh, he's very good.
On Tim Hardaway especially. Here is Mashburn working against Thomas, and he misses. Mashburn has been disappointing offensively for the Heat throughout the late season and the playoffs. He only has 2 points tonight.
Yeah, well, during this mini explosion by the Knicks at the other end of the floor, Miami getting tough looks at the basket. The Knicks defenders are right up in their face. And you'd like to just see them be able to get some transition or get some movement within the half-court offense where the ball does not stop.
Knicks at 50%, Miami at 33% shooting here in the quarter. The Heat getting more shots, and Childs and Hardaway, and remember it was that confrontation that got Hardaway off, where ultimately he was ejected and then fined $5,000 for verbal abuse of officials.
Yeah, this is a nice move by Childs, and you can see the forearm. That will always stop anyone. That's why they always use it in football. But the big thing right there is you never want to get a forearm and hit a guy in the head, because if you do, they can throw you out of the game. They just don't have to give you 1 technical. They can throw you out.
Ewing missing the turnaround, and it's last touched by Kurt Thomas. So the Heat down by 6. They have the ball with 4:15 to go, and the way this game appears, it may be the first competitive game into the 4th quarter we've seen.
And this is what everyone has expected, that every game would be. There you go, big fella.
He knows, as Alonzo Mourning, that Patrick Ewing does not have good lateral movement with that injured Achilles tendon, and Mourning taking advantage, has 12 points, the game-high scorer.
That's the first time that he's run that turn inside step move to the baseline.
The NBA playoffs on TNT, brought to you by First Union, your guide to the financial world. And by Circuit City, answers in every department, low prices all over the store.
Miami trails the Knicks by 4, and Alonzo Mourning has his game face on. You may have noticed he dropped the goggles during the last timeout. During this recent timeout, trainer Ron Culp gave the goggles back to him after he cleared them off. Zoe said, I'm not wearing them. Ron Culp, the trainer, said, you're supposed to wear them. You have to wear them. He said, I am not wearing them, and threw them down on the ground. He's coming out for the big stretch run. Dick?
He certainly is, Craig. Thank you very much. And Mourning has 8 points this quarter. And the Knicks lead is down to 4. Childs, the point guard, defended by Tim Hardaway, and Mashburn on the switch. They go back now. They left Thomas open, and Ewing is fouled.
See, that was a beautiful play, a ton of movement. They did a down screen. They brought a man up. They shot Patrick Ewing to the high post. Now just watch this. Thomas backdoors. He's open. Ewing passes him up. Now, was that a foul? Yes, it was. But I want to tell you something. Thomas should tell Ewing on the way back down the floor, I was wide open.
Easy layup.
That's right. Give me the ball.
Mourning with his third personal foul. Remember, he had 4 and sat for quite a while in game number 3. And Patrick Ewing, 1 out of 2 from the line. The Knicks lead by 5 with 3:40 remaining in the third quarter. Nick Stockton along with Hubie Brown and Craig Sager. Game 4 of this first round series. And Mourning says he was shooting the ball when the foul came about. But he will not get that argument.
No way. And, you know, Dick, that has been the biggest problem for the Knicks all year. Whenever they run, you know, the negative run by the opposition, it's usually because the ball goes in either to Ewing or Larry Johnson, and they pound the air out of the ball. And pressure seconds go down. The Knicks continue to cut through. They're wide open, and they don't get the passes. Now, this could be costly.
Chris Childs limping off the floor. Mike Saunders tending to him. Allen Houston replaces him. That last foul was on Charlie Ward, and that's 4 on the Knicks starting point guard.
Now, Childs in a lot of pain over there. A lot of pain.
And here's Hardaway, who decides to drive around Thomas. And Houston comes out with it. So Hardaway, instead of taking the shot from the corner, decided to drive. So the Knicks with the ball and a 5-point lead. Close to 3 minutes remaining in the third. Here is Thomas, the double team on him, Ewing. And Alonzo Mourning with the rebound. That's 8 for him. That's the one thing that Mourning really hasn't given the Heat much in this series, and that is work off the glass. Porter gets it inside to Mashburn. Good pass to Marley.
Pretty.
And it's batted in the air as Mourning playing with reckless abandon right now without the goggles, as Craig pointed out.
That was beautiful movement by Miami.
And Marley trying to fight and claw his way in and draws the foul. The Knicks are in the penalty, as are the Heat. And that personal was on Kurt Thomas. Will send Dan Marley to the strike.
You're playing for Miami, you're happy, Dick. You make these 2 foul shots. It's a 3-point game. You got 2:40 to go. Main thing is to continue to stay in the hunt here. Try to keep it within 3 to 4 or lower so that you enter that last quarter where you got an excellent opportunity.
Larry Johnson, who has hit 3 threes tonight, replaces Patrick Ewing. So the Knicks with a smaller team out there for sure, with Houston, Ward, Johnson, Sprewell, and Thomas, a very small unit now.
Yeah, well, you know, all night we have not seen Dudley. And Dudley has always been out there with that second group that's had major minutes, along with Camby, with Sprewell and Childs. That group has had limited time tonight.
Yes, they have. And Dudley did some good defensive work, as he pointed out. And a steal by Terry Porter, and they double-team Larry Johnson.
Got numbers here.
And the Miami Heat, Marley going inside low, and Mourning missed the hook shot, and Thomas throws Mourning to the floor.
Yeah, that was unnecessary.
And Thomas gets hit with a foul, and this is where Alonzo Mourning in the past did not keep his cool, but he apparently is doing that here as Kurt Thomas picking up the personal.
Now, on the baseline, the referee, Washington, was not going to call a foul. They were tangled up, and you're going to see it off of this play. Now, just watch once the ball goes up. The shot is short. Now, as it comes back out here, now you see how they're tangled up? It was unnecessary to throw Mourning on the floor. Nothing would have been called.
But the key for Miami is the way Mourning reacted by not reacting. Mourning with a turnaround, and the rebound by Larry Johnson. Under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. The Knicks lead the Heat by 3. Allen Houston has not had a big scoring night, hitting the jumper here. So Houston now with 8 points.
He's staying within the game. He's not chasing the ball or breaking play. His stroke is so beautiful in the last 2 games, Dick. It's just a pleasure to watch him shoot the ball.
Porter driving in, and no one picks up Porter. The Knicks stand around and watch.
Remember what we said? See, he gets down in there. He laid that one up with the left hand. Why? Because the defender was coming from the right side.
So Terry Porter, 4 for 4 from the field tonight, 9 points, and the 3-point lead And the Heat claiming that Terry Porter, that he was held. Instead, Porter will be called for the personal foul. Rashawn Leonard will come into the game for Miami. And right now, let's check in with Craig.
Chris Childs has a contusion of the right thigh. His status for the fourth quarter is questionable. This has nothing to do with the knee injury that sidelined him late in the season. It is a new injury, which you obviously saw, but it's a deep thigh contusion.
Yeah, he picks that up as he was trying to fight over the top of the screen.
So Chris Childs, who played very well off the bench as part of the great reserve barrage for the Knicks in game number 3. Now you can see anguished on the bench, suffering that contusion of the right thigh. Allen Houston hitting both free throws. The Knicks leading 60-55. 1:15 to go in the third quarter. Mourning posting up against Thomas, and you know the Heat want to go that way. Mourning with a big edge on Kurt Thomas with size, but it's knocked away by Ward. Picked up by Mashburn. 5 on the shot clock. Porter is going to drive in. And 1 second to go on the clock, and Rashawn Leonard pulls a Larry Johnson.
Yes, he did. Very good. That was very good. Well, now it's touche. We X'd that out at both ends of the floor. I'm telling you, Rashawn Leonard is hot. He is hot. In this series, now that is his 8th make of a 3.
Where has he been?
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. Just look at this. As the clock is down, the clock is off, and boom. Just a great square up. I'm knocking it down. But you have to remember, the young man has missed a ton of games this year because of injuries, but he had a good year last year. He's capable of getting you over 20.
Clarence Weatherspoon comes into the game for Alonzo Mourning with half a minute remaining in the third quarter. And here is Larry Johnson. Sprewell with the offensive rebound and the putback, and that was quickness by Sprewell.
Yes, it was. And you can see Miami's defense is laboring on the ball reversal. They're late getting out there, and then when they do, they're breaking him down off the dribble.
Nick lead is 4, and the Heat trying to narrow that before the end of the third quarter. Mourning on the bench so he doesn't pick up another foul. And Leonard misses a 3, but Marley gets the offensive rebound, checks the clock, and time runs down. Well, you remember Pat Riley called a timeout, his second, 5 minutes into the third quarter with the team down 51-40, and now they're down by only 4. So the Heat did indeed come back in the third quarter, but they'll trail by the same margin the Knicks had at the half as we go into the final 12 minutes of regulation. The Miami Heat held under 20 points in the second and third quarters, but they've got to feel that they're in range in what has been the best game as far as equal competitiveness of the series is concerned, Hubie, as we start the fourth.
Anytime that a team has been able to get out by 10, now tonight it's the Knicks. The other ball club, Miami, has been able to regroup after every timeout. That's a good sign for them. They are within striking distance, and when you're on the road, that's all you want is a chance to win. Now let's see what the Knicks will do with the pressure.
Allen Houston with the ball with Charlie Ward on the pick and spot up. Ward misses the shot. He's out there with Marcus Camby now, Larry Johnson, and Latrell Sprewell. Terry Porter has played an outstanding game at age 36. At the point with Sean Leonard, Alonzo Mourning back in with Dan Marley and Clarence Weatherspoon. Here is Porter. Weatherspoon guarded by Camby. He has bulk, but he doesn't have size on him. And Weatherspoon hits a big shot at the buzzer.
Well, that was big. Now they need him if he can just step up. He's a real tireless worker. He gets the most out of his size. He's a banger. He's in there giving you everything that he has. You'd just like to see him hit a little streak for you.
There's Houston leading the double team. Larry Johnson and a high rebound off of the three-point attempt. Johnson has hit 3 threes tonight in 9 attempts. But the Heat down by only a basket, 62-60. They made a comeback after being down by 11 points. And Mourning misses and the rebound by the Knicks.
Yeah, Larry Johnson got away with a foul that time. No doubt about it. It was major contact.
Knicks had that 11-point lead in the first few moments, 5 minutes of the third quarter.
You just do not want to just settle for all jump shots, and that's what we have at both ends now.
Larry Johnson trying to go in, and Marley knocks away the pass, and the Heat get it back. Their defense has been as good as it's been in this series, and Vashawn Leonard is fouled by Charlie Ward. So now a problem for the Knicks, UB, because Ward has 5 personal fouls, and Chris Childs is on the bench with a contusion of the knee. And that's why we're going to see Rick Brunson, who hardly played this year. And Rick Brunson did play against the Heat in the last regular season game and had 11 assists.
Had 11 assists, only 1 turnover, did an excellent job. Van Gundy has a lot of confidence in him. They played him the game in the other night, and he also played well. Made a couple of field goals. He reads the pick and roll well.
Brunson in second year at the Temple, and Vashawn Leonard with 10 points. Good decision for Pat Riley to decide to go more to Vashawn Leonard, and a point that you brought out at the top of the game.
Well, he has outstanding range. No shot is difficult, and he does it with a little bit of effort.
Tie score. I tell you, Sacramento really matches up well against Utah.
Well, you go through the year, 3 games in overtime, 1 of the playoff games in overtime. I think it's one of the big mysteries of the playoffs that in the last 2 games that the Utah Jazz cannot make a field goal. And I'm talking about struggling. When you have John Stockton and Hornacek go 2 for 15, each guy with only 1 field goal, and Karl Malone struggling with his shot, you're in a lot of trouble here. Vlade Divac has been sensational for Sacramento. He's just done a wonderful job.
We're at Madison Square Garden in New York. Game 4 of the Eastern Conference first round best of 5. The New York Knicks trying to become only the 2nd team in 16 years as a number 8 seed to knock off a number 1. Coming in leading 2-1. And game number 4, they're tied at 62-62. They led by 11 points, but the Heat battled back to tie it up with 2 minutes going by in the 4th.
Well, go back 2 years in the playoffs. The Knicks were up 3-1. Miami rallies and wins 4-3. Last year, same situation, 2-1. What happens? The Knicks rally, boom, and it's over. And it's just kind of interesting that the opposition had a chance to close out both season and could not do it.
That's why, as we say, we can do it in chorus. Expect the unexpected.
Yeah, that's right. In this series.
Well, the Knicks had to call a timeout. Because of that, have only 2 timeouts left, and that may be a factor down the stretch. Marley tripping Allen Houston, and that will be 4 on Dan Marley.
They just ran Allen Houston off of 3 screens on the baseline to get him that curl. Now you can see Childs is definitely limping. Now this is an interesting call from Van Gundy, but you better find out now rather than wait later.
He brought that sleeve on, as you saw, to cover that thigh and knee area. He had that bruised knee and the contusion.
Now you got to go right at him at the other end of the floor. You've got to go right at him off the dribble and see if he can cover.
Right now, Leonard is guarding him on offense, but the pressure for Chris Childs will come at the other end. Plenty of time on the shot clock, tied at 62. Houston picked up by Witherspoon on the switch and gets knocked to the floor. So a lot more physical play in this game 4, although no flare-ups, and the personal is on Witherspoon.
I was laughing because on the other side, Patrick Ewing is setting a screen, and Terry Porter's going over the top. Now, Patrick Ewing continues to forearm Porter. Porter is chopping him down. Patrick is smashing him with a front. And there's no goal. Well, why? Because they're on the other side of the floor.
Maybe we need 4 officials for this game. Houston goes back to Sprewell, posting up against Porter. He's got quickness on him, and Sprewell on the turnaround. So Latrell Sprewell with 10 points in the game, and the Knicks break the tie, lead by 2 once again.
Now that is a great matchup. Sprewell on offense, Porter on defense.
So Chris Childs is defending against Porter, but right now the Heat have it. And now Porter with the pass inside, and Ewing fouls Alonzo Mourning. That is only the 2nd foul, but you know they have not gone at Chris Childs.
Yeah, and that has to happen. But right there, see, that's a perfect example of Mourning being far away, and anytime Ewing has to cover a lot of distance, it's impossible for him. Mourning can just beat him on any back cut.
Mourning is 4 for 8 from the free throw line. And if he makes both free throws, we'll tie the game once again. If there is a game 5, it'll be Sunday afternoon at the Miami Arena. If not, the Knicks will advance and play the winner of Atlanta and Detroit. They'll play game 5 on Sunday at Georgia Tech, I believe.
Yes, that's right. And that's difficult for Atlanta because they hammered Detroit twice in the Georgia Dome. And now you're going to a different court.
And Alonzo Mourning ties it up with the free throws with plenty of time remaining early here in the fourth quarter, tied at 64. Knicks have Childs and Houston at guard, Sprewell, Camby, and Ewing up front.
I'll tell you, Childs looks spry. I mean, he's bouncing pretty good.
Here is Sprewell working in against Marley, and Marley will be called for his personal foul.
Watch out, Riley's all over Bob Delaney right now. You got to be careful, Pat.
Riley's walking away. He's walking to the other end of the bench, and now comes back. 5 on Marley. That's big.
You see, they get him for the hand. You see, you're not allowed to hand check, and he's hand checked him at least 4 times. It was a very good call.
So Marley on the bench, still complaining, has been replaced by Tim Hardaway. So Hardaway, Leonard, and Porter, in essence, 3 guards in there now for the Heat. Knocked away, and it's last touch by Miami.
Now, by going this small, this puts a lot of pressure on Deshaun Leonard to handle Sprewell. All right, Sprewell's bigger. You know, he's pretty quick. Now, you know that Porter is okay at the guard position, but that's where you got the advantage. Sprewell with Leonard.
And here is Allen Houston, the jumper, and Mourning getting the rebound. Tied at 64, and the Heat looking to take a lead. It's been a long time since Miami had the lead in this game. Early on, they were up by 7. Here is Mourning. Shuffles it out, and Leonard, plenty of time on the clock. Open for 3 is Tim Hardaway, and he's got a clutch 3-point basket for Tim Hardaway. And the Miami Heat have their first lead since it was 38-37 late in the second.
That was just great ball movement. They exhausted 3 different offensive sets, and they end up with a 3.
Hardaway's 3rd three-pointer of the game, so he has smashed out of that 3-point shooting slump tonight in game 4. Chris Childs, ailing, goes behind to Houston. Allen Houston with a miss on the 3. Out of bounds. It'll be Miami's ball. Larry Johnson coming into the game for the Knicks. And Camby will go out. Camby tonight has scored only 2 points. Not having quite the same game off the bench as he did Wednesday night in game 2.
Well, like the game isn't gotten away, Dick. You know, we're not running up and down the floor. It's basically half court, half court.
And Leonard gets it to Mourning, and Deshaun Leonard gets it into Mourning, and now the Knicks have to pay attention. They trail by 5, and Miami playing its best ball of the game.
Hasn't this happened quick? I mean, it really has. A 7-0 run by Miami.
It's happened almost as quick as the Knicks.
Terry Porter, great job fronting Houston.
And Leonard guarding Sprewell, loses the ball out of bounds. And the Knicks turn it over, and now Jeff Van Gundy. Let's see if he calls a timeout.
See, this is what we were talking about earlier. Will the Knicks, if they lost the lead, be able to hand the pressure to close out? Closing out sounds easy. That's hard. Now, keep an eye on the ball movement. Right here is the basketball. Right here will be the benefactor on the left side. He will throw the ball to Terry Porter here. Terry Porter will beat the defense coming. All of the Knicks will rotate to him, opening up right here, Timmy Hardaway. Now, this is all by design. Porter knows that he can go all the way, but there's the defense. But you see, that is good rotation on the opposite side of the floor for the diagonal pass. You love to see a well-disciplined offensive team work, and then when they beat a terrific rotation, it's nice.
Tim Hardaway with 11, and you can see he's a different guy out there.
I'm really happy for him tonight. He's having a great game.
Here is Terry Porter driving in and throws it away. He's claiming he was fouled. And the Knicks with Sprewell beating Ward, and Ward is fouled hard. And will go to the line. Weatherspoon committing the personal foul.
Think about it. That's the first break of the night. First outright fast break for the New York Knicks in a 2-on-1. Now in game 3, we had at least a dozen.
And that's what you expect when you have a Sprewell and Camby, or Sprewell or Camby on the court.
Well, what's the difference? Miami was missing in game 3. Long rebounds because they were attempting threes. The Knicks were out 3-on-2, 4-on-3. Now tonight, they're making the shots. Everything is short. And when the Knicks go in transition, Miami is back. That's the first blowout.
Charlie Ward is playing with 5 personal fouls. Brings the Knicks to within 3. Under 6.5 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. Miami, in desperate straits, needs the win to send the series to a 5th game. A loss knocks him out. Here is Weatherspoon. And Weatherspoon elevates nicely for the basket. He's playing with 4 fouls, but has 8 in the game.
See, that's there for him all night long, because you know they're going to trap the screen and roll, which they did. They go back to the spot up man, and when they reverse down low opposite, he's open.
Lead is 5, and now Weatherspoon picking up Houston. Here is Sprewell from the corner. That was a 3-point shot attempt. So the Miami Heat leading by 5, and they couldn't match their biggest lead of the game. They will maintain possession with plenty of time on the shot clock, and Terry Porter has given them a great boost tonight off the bench.
Yeah, he did. He just tried to thread the needle with that left-handed pass, and unfortunately for him, it was knocked out of bounds. But he's been solid, Dick. His defense, outstanding.
And 9 points to go along with that. 10 on the shot clock, and Houston guarding Porter. Here's Hardaway for 3.
There it is.
Tim Hardaway. And you remember, Hardaway has burned the Knicks before. He had 38 points in Game 7 in the second round 2 years ago, and he averaged 26 against the Knicks in the first round last year. And this is a revival game for Tim Hardaway, who has 14 points.
We'd like to show you this great play by Miami. Here you have a screen and roll. What happens as Porter comes over the top? One of the very few times the Knicks do not trap. So he takes it down in. All the Knicks rotate into the paint. Once again, the discipline. Spot up for that diagonal pass and hit the 3. Now this is Terry Porter's 7th assist off the bench. And once again, Hardaway on fire tonight.
That is Hardaway's 4th three-pointer of the night on a 12-2 run. The Miami Heat have opened up their biggest lead, and the crowd is obviously nervous. The Heat feeling good. You know what's interesting? The Knicks have only 1 timeout left, and if it goes down to the end, that could be critical to have only 1 left.
Yeah, but, you know, this has been a game of chess tonight, Dick, you know, and you have to use them, and you can't be worrying about it. You have no idea how the end of the game is going to play. They needed him there, and Riley had to use his tonight to stop runs, because for Riley it could be lights out. He's trying to stay in the game, and Jeff Van Gundy at the other end had to make corrections as his team fell apart, because right now Miami is smooth and the Knicks are rough right now.
Illegal defense was the call against the Heat, the first violation. Winding down to 5 minutes remaining in regulation. 66 for the Knicks, 74 for the Heat. Ewing and Mourning comes out to meet Larry Johnson with 6 on the shot clock. Porter was on Ewing, and they never got it to Ewing, and it's turned over. The Knicks had a brilliant advantage.
Dick, you're absolutely right. That was a great double screen. Sprewell was open. Deshaun Leonard got caught behind the double screen, and then Mourning jumps out and prevents the wide open shot, scrambles back, and still picks up his man.
And here is Porter, blocked by Patrick Ewing. Porter got behind, but Ewing was there. And Sprewell working against Hardaway. It's an 8-point lead for the Heat with 4.5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. And this is pressure time in the playoffs. Larry Johnson, Ward, Sprewell with a fake, driving in, and misses the layup as he was underneath on the rim. And now the Heat trying to open up a 10-point lead. And Terry Porter makes it 11.
What a great...
An 11-point lead as Porter hits a 3. And the Miami Heat with an 11-point lead. And what a dramatic turnaround as the Knicks at one point had an 11-point lead. In the third quarter, Pat Riley called the 2 timeouts you're referring to, and this is not the big apple, it's the broken apple on the floor.
Well, as soon as they hit that shot from the corner, some fan just threw ice all over the floor. And you can see the ball boys are out here right now. And you've got to give Miami a ton of credit because they have accepted the pressure of being down 11, rallying, and now executing flawlessly by taking the double team in rotations, kicking the ball out to the wing. And this is the team that was 4 for 32 in threes. And tonight, everything's out the window, and they look like Miami of old. They are 9 for 17 in threes
Isn't
tonight.
it amazing how when you get to the end of these playoff series, you talked about 97 and 98 and again in 99.
That's right.
Who is to figure? Let's go to Craig Sager.
A few moments ago, a collision under the defensive basket, and Tim Hardaway hurt his neck. Right now, he's getting a massage on the bench throughout this timeout, but he definitely has a stinger in the back of his neck. He should go back in, though, Dick.
All right, thank you very much, Craig. But our camera got in there to see Hardaway, and so this has been a battle of attrition tonight, especially as far as the point guards are concerned.
Yeah, if I'm a Miami fan or I'm on the coaching staff, I am really proud of my team because my guys have answered a negative situation. They're flowing beautifully. We lose Marley. I have to put Deshaun Leonard on Sprewell. Sprewell has not scored. Deshaun Leonard is part of this rush. And at the other end, if I'm Jeff Van Gundy and all the fans here tonight, I am disappointed in the lack of execution under pressure here in the last 3 minutes of the Knicks.
But you know, Hubie, this team did not win 3 consecutive Atlantic Division titles for nothing and have the #1 seed. Pat Riley had something going. They looked really bad the last couple of games, games 1 and game 3. And now this is where a team shows what they're all about, especially on the road, where they've dropped 25 of their last 30, including playoffs here at the Garden.
Yeah, and I'm happy for them because they come into the game with Hardaway banged up, with Marley banged up, and Deshaun Leonard, you know, rusty, but he's making shots. A lot of question marks, and lo and behold, they are playing a great game. Now, they still have to hold on to it.
Yes, they do, with 4 minutes to go. Don't forget the Jazz and the Kings. Game 4 with Sacramento leading 2-1 coming up next. And on the deflection, the Knicks lose it. And here is Porter driving in, and he's fouled. And it's a flagrant foul.
Who win the ball?
Called by Bob Delaney as Latrell Sprewell on the flagrant foul. And Porter will go to the line to shoot 2.
See, Allen Houston threw that ball and hit Larry Johnson. He was shocked that the pass came and hit him. Now, this is a hard foul, no doubt about it. Excellent call by Bob Delaney. 2 end the ball.
There's a hard foul. The Knicks have scored only 4 points this quarter and showing some signs of unraveling here. And remember, if the Miami Heat survive this desperation game for them, we send it to a game 5 at Miami Arena on Sunday. Porter with the free throw. And it is a 12-point Miami lead. And this crowd that came here to celebrate tonight is silent and puzzled.
Yeah, they're really stunned. Because they honestly thought the game was going to be a 15 to 20 pointer, just like game 3. And game 1, they honestly thought that they would run away from them. And all we heard about, and everyone was on the same wavelength, is that Marley and Hardaway were going to be struggling with not trying to contribute. But they started right off early and hit those threes.
Yeah, Miami has the swagger now of a team that feels that they're beginning to get this game under control. As Mourning will go to the line to shoot. The Heat on a 17-2 run right now. And Mourning on the line. Alonzo Mourning with 14 points. But he's got company in that department as Tim Hardaway and Terry Porter also with 14 points. And Mourning with 12 rebounds. That's his best rebounding game of the series.
Right. Now, for the Knicks, think about it. At halftime, the Knicks were looking good. The fans were going crazy. They had 44 points. They have scored 22 points and we in the second half with 3:42 left. That is a great defensive job by the Miami Heat.
And the Heat did it in game 2. They tightened their defense to win that game, holding the Knicks to 73 points. And now they've done it again. They've matched it here in game 4. Hardaway stealing the ball from 3 Knicks, but cannot convert the layup. Winding down to 3.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Houston misses, and the Knicks going and settling for the jump shots. 1 and out, and Camby fouls Porter. Allen Houston 3 of 8 from the field, and the defensive job the Heat have done on Houston, a big part of the story.
Yeah, major defense by not allowing him to make any catches. And they've also taken Sprewell, the main nemesis, right out of this ball game. He cannot make a catch, take it off the dribble for a driving layup.
All right, Ernie, tough assignment for them, and there, down but not out, is really the story of the last 3 years in the playoffs. 2 years ago, 1 home victory, eliminating the Heat in the second round. Less than 2 minutes to go in game 5. The bench clearing incident, suspensions in game 6 and 7. The Heat won 3 in a row to win the series. Last year, Alonzo Mourning suspended in the punching incident with Larry Johnson. So what happens? The Knicks win game 5 down there in Miami, and who knows what the scenario will be, but the Miami Heat coming here and quieting the crowd. And you know, often we said making statements. Miami makes a statement tonight. It is 81-66, 15-point lead. The Knicks 1 for 8 in the shooting department here in the fourth quarter. 3 minutes and 12 seconds to go in the fourth. And Larry Johnson misses. So the Knicks taking perimeter shots and not making them. Mourning gets it over to Tim Hardaway. Hardaway coming alive finally, and Porter off the bench.
Yeah, and see, they got 2 really experienced guys in the backcourt here. They're running the clock. They have them spread out, and they'll get what they want.
But Sean Leonard misses. They ought to fix that net because it's over the rim.
Yes, it is.
We should call a timeout. Here is a Ward, runs into traffic. 2:35 to go. Allen Houston with a perimeter shot and hits. Houston tonight with 12 points. 8 in the second half. The Knicks trapping now.
It's the first time that we've seen him in an outright. It's a 1-2-1-1 full court trap. And
Mourning, as the Heat easily break the trap, gets the basket and draws the foul with 2:22 to go. Miami in front 83-68, and a good part of this crowd, as you look at the replay, making their way to the exits.
Well, anytime that you get pressed, you love to see teams that are disciplined and on full court pressure. When that ball came in, the Knicks did not even get anything close to a trap on the initial pass.
And Mourning missing the free throw. The Heat leading by 15 points. But the crowd sensing that there will be a game 5 that they didn't think there would be. And it'll be in Miami on Sunday. Ward throwing up a brick off the glass as we get close to 2 minutes to go.
You melt the clock, you run the clock down, you spread them out, you discourage them from trapping just by the ball movement. There it is, pretty.
And Camby with a very hard foul on Weatherspoon. And these are the moments where you really have to show restraint, because these are the moments you can do something and get yourself suspended going into a 5th game.
Yeah, and the one thing you do not want to do is get hurt in this situation. You get the ball into the middle of the floor and then run your guys on the baseline. And that is just nice ball movement, but more important, unselfish movement as that clock is rolling down.
And Jeff Van Gundy is putting up the white flag and knows that the Miami Heat have come back and won the game they've had to win. Herb Williams and Rick Brunson will come into the game. He'll rest some of his people the rest of the way. Weatherspoon connects on the free throw. So here is Herb Williams, the oldest player in the NBA at age 41. Allen Houston goes out tonight. Houston scored 12 points on 4 for 9 shooting. Weatherspoon makes them both, and the Heat leading 85-68, and a wilting finish for the fans here at the Garden after they expected so much. Brunson in the game with Ward, and Pat Riley will also bring in his reserves. Herb Williams misses. And the rebound by Tim Hardaway. Minute and a half to go. The Miami Heat in a huge win.
Just run the clock.
Yep, will now send this series to a 5th and deciding game Sunday in Miami. And I don't think home court means anything between these teams, frankly. It's been evident here.
See, there's that diagonal pass.
And Weatherspoon makes the basket at the buzzer and is 87-68. So what a dramatic fourth quarter. The Knicks were leading 62-58, and now the Heat are leading 87-68, and Rex Walters will come into the game.
Well, Terry Porter deliberately fouled that time to stock the clock because he knew that they had two guys over there that Pat Riley wanted to get into the game.
And Dwayne Coswell is in the game for Miami, and now Keith Askins. And you look at the disappointed New York Knicks as Brunson hits the free throw. The Knicks have been outscored by the Heat 29-7 here in the fourth quarter. And that speaks volumes.
We said that the Knicks always look good when the ball goes in and you hit the cutters. When you come off your screens and guys are cutting from the opposite side, the ball moves. But when you put the ball inside and the people do not get returns, people stop cutting now because they know that the shot is going to go up. And they just came totally apart from the beautiful execution that we saw here in Game 3.
Rex Walters with the air ball. Miami's defense, the story here.
Yes.
New York with 70 points and 38 seconds to go. Here is Camby driving in, and he's fouled by Askins with 34.1.
Now we go back to when Miami made the run at the top of this quarter. Their penetration into the lane with the clock down and their diagonal passing out of the lane to guys setting up for threes. Then that puts so much pressure on the three-point shooters, but they made them. And it's nice to see them revert back to how they played during the regular season, because they are one of the best three-point shooting teams in those situations.
Smile on Tim Hardaway's face. He hit 4 big ones. He came out of the slump in a big way. His knee may be hurting, but you wouldn't know it by the way he played today. But Sean Leonard hit 2, Marley hit 2, and Porter with 1. The Miami Heat in front, 87-72. And here is Sean Leonard. He came up big when Pat Riley needed him tonight.
He sure did. Not only with the offense, but his defense on the free roll was outstanding.
Camby misses the shot, and that should do it. A gutty and courageous victory by the Miami Heat with nowhere to go. It was win tonight or go home. And the Miami Heat, the #1 seed, has knocked off the Knicks 87-72 and will send the series to a 5th and deciding game. Alonzo Mourning with 16 points and 13 rebounds. Terry Porter had 16 points as well. Hardaway with 4 fours. And that is the story here as the Miami Heat beat the Knicks by 15 points. For Hubie Brown and Craig Sager and our entire TNT crew, I want to remind you, Jazz and Kings coming up next here on TNT. So long, everybody. We'll have a Game 5 in this first round battle.